And so, speaking of 2020 elections, I do want to ask you about all the stuff going on with Cenk Uygur right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. I did see you send out a tweet saying that his campaign is the first one that you've ever donated to. Explain to us why that is, and all of the stuff that's going on with Cenk in the New York Times and his race and his opponent. Just let me know your overall thoughts on the situation.
I think it's very weird, I guess, that the media is doing such hard work to try to take him down. Why are they so scared of him? Well, we know why they're so scared of him. It's the same reason they're afraid of Bernie Sanders, because he wants to come in and shake things up. He wants to come in and actually push policies that are going to help American citizens, but they're not going to help corporations. And all of these outlets out there trashing him, whether it's Jake Tapper from CNN or the New York Times, those are corporate funded entities, and Cenk's coming after their donors. His opponents probably not going to do that. And so when I saw these smears come out, Cenk is somebody we've known Cenk for a very long time. I've had the pleasure of, sitting down with him a couple of times, not too many and nothing too intense in conversation. One time it was just me and him hanging out for 5 minutes, bitching about Dan Bongino and talking about how stupid he is. But still, he's a good guy. He really and truly is. And so when I saw these attacks come out, I just thought to myself, I said, you know what? I have to. I have to. This isn't my district. I live about as far away from California as you can imagine. But I'm going to give some money to him because what's happening to him is ridiculous and it's unfair and it's time. I don't have much to give, but I'm going to do this when I can. I'm going to start funding it with the little bit I can. And Bernie is next. I have not yet done that. I want to finish a little more holiday shopping to kind of see where I'm at. But in 2016, I will say I did buy a T-shirt and a coffee mug from Bernie Sanders. Not a direct just, here's my cash. I got something in return. But with Cenk, that's the first time I've ever said, you know what? This is my hard-earned money. I know you. I like you. I trust you. I don't believe these smears. I want you to have my money.
Have you seen the Twitter account that's digging up all of these smears?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? It's weird to me that there's this one person who's just digging through hours of Cenk Uygur content from literally sometimes 2 decades ago.
Yeah, that's the Mendoza Farrer or whoever it allegedly is. It's psychotic. If this is in fact one person, a real human being, then this is a human being that needs help. And I'm not saying that to just totally insult them, but I did the other day. I went through this Twitter feed, and before the Cenk thing, it was all just Bernie Sanders, bad for days and days and days and days and days. I mean, this person, if it is a legitimate person, is obsessed. I mean, I understand, because I have a lot of friends, good friends in the progressive media who support Elizabeth Warren. And I can disagree with them and say Bernie's a better pick. They can tell me Elizabeth Warren's a better pick. We can argue about it. And we're still super good, great friends. None of them would ever devote all of their time to just trashing Bernie Sanders instead of building up their candidate of choice. Because even they would be like, no, that's crazy. That's a waste of time. People would have me committed if I did that. So that's what I don't get. I don't understand these weirdos like Sally Albright. God, probably the worst of them all. Out there just spending all day, every day saying, I'm devoting my entire life to tearing down the guy who wants to give everybody health care, who wants a Green New Deal. That's horrible to me. No, you're nuts. That's what it is. You're nuts.
Do you think she's a paid operative of either the campaign or the DNC?
I don't know. I'm hoping, and I know actually right now I was, on Twitter before you and I started talking, and people are starting to dig into this. I want to know if we find out something horrid here about the DNC. Wouldn't surprise me, given what we've seen. But I'm hoping, it's not a DNC person. Wouldn't surprise me if it's like Center for American Progress type. That would be, one of those oh yeah, that makes total sense now. I get it. So we'll see. Obviously there's a ton of amazing researchers and journalists on the left. Somebody's going to find out who this person or persons are, and then it's, all hell's going to break loose.
Did you catch Christy Smith? I think this is her first like direct response to Cenk. Did you catch that response?
Which one was that? I've seen. I'm pretty sure I did. And then didn't Cenk respond to that one? I don't remember
Yeah, so she
exactly.
basically was like, it was one of those Mendoza clips that she was quote tweeting, and it's about him talking about like he says that he would like bulldoze Jerusalem, and he's making fun of like the religious fight over land and stuff like that. And so she responds basically saying, "Oh, like you're not a progressive, you're a racist, genocide denier, blah blah blah." What are your thoughts on that? And I'm curious because to me it seems like she is not taught. I've never heard her say anything about policy in terms of being against Cenk. She seems to just be doing these smears. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that and Cenk's response as well.
Cenk's response was wonderful, and I think it's ridiculous that she said he's disqualified. Okay, well that's actually not your decision to make. That's kind of up to the voters. You can't just tell them nope, he's disqualified. You can't vote for him. But I think in general, these people, both the Mendoza Farrer account, Christy Smith, when the only thing you have is talking crap about somebody else, and you're not promoting a candidate, you're not promoting your policy over theirs, when all it is just this other person's bad, no, that means you've got nothing. You've got nothing. And to be honest, I think that's also part of what we saw in 2016 with Hillary. Less than 25% of her ads and her speeches referenced any policy of hers. More than 75% was spent solely on saying, look how bad this Trump guy is. People knew that. People got it. What do you stand for? Now, with this stuff with Cenk, this blew up in their faces. And hopefully, it's going to drive even more support his way. And the longer they sit there and try to, just throw everything at the wall to see what sticks, it's going to hurt them a lot more than it hurts him. And it's going to give him more fodder to say, listen, I'm throwing out policies. You're throwing out video clips taken out of context from 13 years ago. Voters, you tell me which one of us seems more like a serious candidate, and I guarantee you they're not going to pick Smith.
And so, what I also want to ask you is what your thoughts are on his odds of winning that election, because his district is kind of weird. It seems purple, or it seems sometimes red, it seems sometimes blue. I think Clinton won the district by like 7 points or something. But I think they had voted in Republicans until Katie Hill was a centrist. So, what are your thoughts on his odds to emerge victorious from that election?
Well, I think in general, looking at the country as a whole, we've seen a lot of progressives and a lot of Democrats win areas that nobody thought was even possible. And the reason for that, again, it comes back to policy. You can attract both sides with these progressive policies that are hugely popular. And part of the reason for that is voters understand, the average everyday voters, they're not donating money to campaigns, they don't have lobbyists, they're not getting tax breaks. And that last one there, that's the kicker. They got nothing. They got nothing from the last 3 years of this government. They probably got nothing from the previous 8 years of government either. And they're sick and tired of it. They want a candidate who's going to come out and say, listen, you got screwed during Bush. You probably got screwed during Obama because you got screwed out of the recovery. You didn't get a bailout. You're getting screwed now because you didn't get your tax cut. You're getting hurt by trade wars, depending on where you are and what you buy. I'm offering you something. I'm not offering a policy to benefit those at the top. I'm not offering a policy to make everybody complacent. I'm offering you a better path forward. I'm offering you health care to where you have no payment at point of service anymore. I'm offering you a better job through a Green New Deal. I am offering you student loan debt forgiveness. That attracts Democrats, Republicans, and everything in between. And I think that's going to be the difference. You can win these purple areas. You can win the red areas by simply going out there, explaining what you're about, and offering the people something real.
Okay, so I want to ask you next about you because you touched on Warren and Bernie. I wanted to get your thoughts on this because I saw David Pakman say yesterday that he has not decided. He's undecided between Bernie and Warren, and so he doesn't seem to be making a distinction as to who is better. Um, do you think that there's a clear choice between the two? And just what are your thoughts on that, generally speaking, that dichotomy of Warren versus Bernie?
I think there is a clear distinction between the two. Bernie has not wavered. He says, this is what I stand for, this is what I want to do, and that's it. And we can go back and check his track record, all the way through the 80s. It's the same. There is no waffling, there is no flip-flopping, and that is why I do trust Bernie more. I believe that everything he's saying he's going to do is exactly what he's going to attempt to do, whereas Warren kind of gets wishy-washy, and that is a huge turnoff, not just for me, but for the voters in general. They want to know exactly where you stand, and they don't want to have to look back in 5 minutes to see if you're still standing there. And that's going to be a huge thing. Now, as for David, David's a good friend. And I don't know who he's supporting. Actually, he and I haven't even talked about it at all. But he is very intelligent. He's also very calculating. And I think he knows what he's doing. So if he is saying, like, I don't know which one I'm going to endorse, I feel like he probably has a very good reason for saying that. Again, he and I haven't spoken about it, so I don't know. But I do feel like if he's saying that, there's probably a good reason why he's saying that. He is not, just, he's not like me. Sometimes I just throw out and say horrible, crazy things, as we said at the start of this discussion. David would never do that because he doesn't speak from just pure, raw anger like I do sometimes. And, that's probably to his benefit because, yes, it's gotten me in a little bit of trouble that I regret. But for me, it's clear. And I'd be honest, in the early days of this campaign, I wasn't 100% on with Bernie. I knew what he stood for and where he was, but I thought, look, you did try in 2016. It didn't work. Most of it, some of it wasn't your fault. But maybe let me see where these other folks stand because I don't want to just, be the fanboy here. And then it became clear. It really did. It's like, you know what? I should have just gone with my gut instinct. I should have just said back in January, I'm endorsing Bernie Sanders. But I waited and I waited because I thought maybe there's going to be a challenge for who's going to be the most progressive, but there's not. It's Bernie. Bernie is the most progressive. Bernie will remain the most progressive. And if we want that best vision of the future, that's the way to go.